эфире отвечает на вопросы наших слушателей. Вы услышите мнение самой мудрой книги человечества – Библии, о самых сложных проблемах, стоящих перед современным миром. Присылайте ваши вопросы заранее на наш email info@rusa.fm или во время передачи по СМС 347 460 08 77.
Добрый день всем, кто сейчас настроен на радио РУСА. В эфире самая добрая, самая светлая, самая мудрая передача нашего радио, передача, которая называется Thank God It's Tuesday, потому что в это время по вторникам с нами проводит этот час самый светлый, мудрый, интересный раввин нашего времени, раввин Маниса Фридман. И сегодня в преддверии праздника Пурим очень актуально. Это праздник Пурим, который, наверное, ярче, чем все остальное в еврейской истории отражал ненависть к евреям. Это первый раз, когда был задуман полный геноцид еврейского народа. Вот именно эту тему я хочу сегодня поднять с раввином Манисом Фридманом. Откуда вот зародилась такая ненависть к евреям? Как это вообще произошло? Почему? Чем мы это заслужили? Вот с этим вопросом я сразу же перехожу к нашему совершенно замечательному раввину Манису Фридману. Rabbi Manis Fridman, hello, thank God it's Tuesday. So happy to have you always, and especially today. It's the month of Adar. It's the 7th of Adar. It's the birthday and also the day of death of Moshe and my grandmother. Yes, it's her yahrzeit as well. So I don't know how that happened, but I'm very proud of the fact that we can commemorate her on a day like this. But the most important question that we have to raise today, and it is a very important question, no humor there, is how did anti-Semitism, how did the hatred for Jewish people originate? Where did it come from? We're about to embark on the most, on a holiday which reflects hatred for the Jewish people, for the Jewish nation, more than any other holiday. It's the first time there was a planned genocide against the Jewish people, and just because, I mean, as we learn from the Purim story, that it happened because one Jew did not bow down to a prominent not Jew, and that kind of made him decide to kill all the Jewish people just in case that ever happens again. That kind of doesn't make sense. Is that the real story or not so much?
It's a good excuse. No, that obviously it started before that. It went deeper than that. Because the Megillah actually says, the story actually says, he was so angry at Mordechai that he decided to kill all the people because they were Mordechai's people. Why didn't he just get Mordechai to bow? Didn't put in any effort into that, nothing. His servants questioned Mordechai, why aren't you bowing? But there doesn't seem to be any real effort. So force him, threaten him, whatever, if he is the problem. But immediately it became a Jewish problem. Mordechai. Mordechai's nation became the problem. In some way, or to some degree, anti-Semitism began at Mount Sinai. In fact, the name Sinai is very similar to the Hebrew word for hate, which is sinah. Because that's when the hatred really got hot. But there was a problem before that too, from the time of Avraham. So in some way, the hatred of the Jews is the hatred of God. The Jews represent God's presence on earth, and those who don't want God present feel like they have to remove the Jews and then God would be gone. So it's a very deep and very very religious hatred. It's not racial, and that's why it's everywhere. It's always been. It would be very strange that no matter where Jews go, there's a racial bias against them. Jews lived in Germany. They were Germans. They lived in Russia. We were Russians. Well, where is the racial divide? Why is it even called racism? How do you even recognize a Jew? A Jewish German and a non-Jewish German. They look alike. They were intermarried. They were family. Why would that be called racist? No, it goes deeper than that. It has something to do with God. And since God has always been around, so has anti-Semitism. But I'd like to talk about something else. First of all, just to mention, you know the Day of Hate?
It's kind of every day is a day of hate for some people.
No. There is a group of whatever, neo-Nazis. They declared a day of hate against the Jews. And he picked this month. Bad move. The day came and went and nobody heard anything. Nothing. Anyway, I don't understand why that's not illegal. To declare a day of hate against a group of people? Why is that permissible? Freedom of speech? This is not speech, this is hate. Anyway, the question really is, how do we not get depressed about all this? Not just about anti-Semitism. Just about crime and corruption and wickedness and evil and the ugliness of it all. How do you not get depressed? I don't mean depressed where you can't get out of bed. I mean, how do you not get turned off to life?
It's a question. It's a question
Right.
we ask ourselves daily these days.
Yeah. There's a very fundamental solution. We don't celebrate life even when it's good, so everything that isn't good is much more powerful than life, which we treat as neutral. Life is life, everything's fine, nothing special. But evil, we don't celebrate life. We don't think life is great to begin with. It's only better than death. Well, then death is much more exciting. And maybe that's why it gets all the headlines. You can't treat life as just a default position, whereas death and dying and killing and murder, oh, that's excitement. That's drama. How about the drama of life? No, life is just don't kill me. You're not fully alive. We don't teach life. We study crime. We study evil. But who studies life? Who studies goodness? How good is life? Yeah, it's okay. Better than death. It's not an equal match. So let's take a look at Moshe and this week's Torah portion. Without the insight of the sages, reading the Torah, you miss the most important, the most dramatic, and the most beautiful parts of the text. You just don't notice it. The sages point it out, and all of a sudden it comes alive, and it is so dramatic. Like, for example, this week's Torah portion. It talks about the people's contribution to the construction of the Mishkan. What's unique about this portion, which most people don't even notice, is that it's the only portion since the birth of Moshe until his death. It's the only portion in Torah where his name is not mentioned, not once. It's all addressed to him. You should, but no name. There's no God spoke to Moshe saying, which is in every other Torah portion since Moshe was born. His birth is described, and his death is described. And he's mentioned in every portion in between, except this one. Why is that? Not by accident. So the sages say, when Moshe was defending the Jews after they made the golden calf, Moshe's argument was, if you don't forgive them, then erase me from your book. God did forgive them, so Moshe was not erased from the book. But because he said those words, somewhere, to some degree, he got erased. His name was taken out of this Torah portion. To fulfill something he said, because the words of a tzaddik are always powerful, effective. So in some way that had to come true. So the words were not uttered in vain. On the other hand, the entire chapter, the entire portion, is addressed to Moshe. And you should, and you will make, and you will go, and you will come, and you... What do we see from this? What is the virtue of having his name erased, even in one portion of the Torah? What's good about that? Well, he said, erase me, so tough. No. If you were to ask anybody, what is Moshe famous for? What did he stand for? What was he all about? What was his primary devotion, his ultimate commitment? Everybody would say the Torah. He went up the mountain, brought the 10 Commandments to the people, and taught them for 40 years in the desert. It was all about the Torah. Torah tziva lanu Moshe. Moshe taught us Torah. He was our first teacher. He is our eternal teacher. That's what most people would say. When Moshe is arguing that God should forgive the people, what does he use as a pivotal, convincing argument? If you don't forgive them, take me out of the book. Your book. God's book. What book is that? The Torah. Moshe is saying, I'm giving up Torah in favor of the people. He revealed himself. He exposed his truest and deepest commitment. As much as he was devoted to Torah, as much as he loved the Torah, as much as he represented, he was Mr. Torah. If the Jews are called the people of the book, he was the man of the book. And he said, no, I would give all that up to save the Jewish people. And which Jewish people? The ones who were bowing to a cow. Not the best of the best, the worst of the worst. So what happened? Moshe's inner commitment, his inner self, was now revealed. Because on the surface, we all know that Aaron was more popular with the people than Moshe. Aaron was everybody's best friend. He was all about love and peace between people, and he would run around making peace between husband and wife, between neighbors who were arguing. This man represented the love of the people. Moshe was the harsh teacher, the disciplinarian, right? Like good cop, bad cop. But that was on the surface. Beneath the surface, Moshe's critical treatment of the Jewish people was coming from a love that was even deeper than that of Aaron. Aaron was a man of peace. Moshe was a man of truth. Truth can sometimes be critical. Well, usually it's critical because truth is hard to come by. So, on the surface, truth seems harsh compared to peace. But essentially, truth is the greatest kindness of all. How did we discover this? Moshe said, "Forgive the people or take me out of your book." So the fact that Moshe is not mentioned in this Torah portion is a tribute to that love, to that kindness that you don't notice on the surface. You notice only when it's absent. The fact that his name isn't there reveals so much about him that we wouldn't know otherwise. What's even more interesting, here is the portion of the Torah that reveals to us in a glorious fashion Moshe's total sacrifice to protect the people. He's giving up the most precious, the most important thing to him. And yet, what exactly is this portion all about? So it begins with, "And you will instruct the people." No name. "You will instruct the people, and they will bring you pure oil for the menorah." The obvious question is, Moshe didn't light the menorah. Aaron lit the menorah. So why did God instruct the people to bring the oil to Moshe, and Moshe will give it to Aaron so that Aaron can light the menorah? Just bring it to Aaron. What we're seeing here is the greatness of Moshe. It's a little mind-boggling. Torah is telling you how great Moshe's devotion and love is. But how does it express itself? The people will bring something to Moshe that Moshe needs. Who's great here? Is Moshe the teacher, the giver, the leader? Then why are we bringing him? Why are we providing him? He's the provider. So what does this mean? Moshe needs something and depends on the people to provide it. So we're nurturing him. The greatest love The greatest love that a true leader shows comes in the form of admitting, recognizing, feeling that he needs the people as much as the people need him. Needing somebody is not a weakness. Well, it can be, but needn't be. Needing somebody is the ultimate act of love. It's vulnerability. I'm great, I'm in charge, I am Moshe, I go up the mountain, I talk to God, I'm the man. But you need to help me. You need to give me that strength or that. It's not a one-way relationship. It's not I'm the giver, you're the receiver, and that's it. A real leader thrives on the people. And without the people, actually, when Moshe was on the mountain and the Jews had made a golden calf, God said to Moshe, "Go down. Your people messed up." What is the message here? Go down. Your people messed up. Well, he didn't mess up. Why does he have to go down? And Rashi commentaries say, you're no longer the great person you were, because your greatness came from the people, and the people messed up. It's not a one-way street. Moshe is vulnerable, not untouchable. So God says to Moshe, you need the people to bring you something. And that's what makes you so awesomely great. Also makes the people really important.
Rabbi Friedman, but doesn't it mean that the entire Torah is based on making it certain that we have a task to do, that we have a goal to achieve, a reason to be here, and it seems like some of these tasks are created. I mean, it's especially for us. And the question is, I mean, back to, having some sort of hatred toward us. Does that mean that we're messing up with the task that we're giving, with the goal that is set for us?
You could look at it that way, which would be very discouraging and disheartening and critical, judgmental. Or you can look at it the opposite. People are not jealous of losers. People are not jealous when you're down. People are jealous when you're doing well. So when the anti-Semitism increases, it must mean we're doing something right. How's that for a twist?
But does claiming anti-Semitism, does that weaken us as a nation on the long run, if we pay attention to it and we claim it?
It can, and it mustn't. On the contrary. On the contrary. If there is anti-Semitic feelings, we have to create pro-Semitic feelings. And it's not very difficult because there's a lot to like. So here's the moral message, right? Celebrating the greatness and the beauty and the awesomeness of life. Life is not neutral and death is exciting. Life is so exciting. Death is boring. Hate is boring. Love is unbelievably exciting. So what is the moral of the story? Every human being is a Moshe in their little, universe. You are somebody's teacher. You are somebody's role model. To some people, you are the one who went up the mountain, heard what God wants, and you came back with the message. Whether you got it in yeshiva or you heard it online. But you are somebody's Moshe. The moral of the story is, you can't be a casual Moshe. Moshe is a deep, deep commitment. And you have to recognize that the fact that you can give to others, that you can be the teacher, the leader, and the role model, that's half of the story. The other half of the story is the people you're teaching and the people you're leading inspire you. And without that, you couldn't function. That's a healthy relationship. Teacher-student.
Rabbi Fridman, our program today took a different turn than I was planning, which it's okay.
Intentionally so.
It's very good and very exciting. So let me then follow your lead. We always follow your lead. And say, you said to us this year that this is going to be the year of substance, that people are tired of emptiness and people are ready for substance. Obviously, I'm sure you meant the teachings of the Torah and God's will on earth and in general in the universe. So the question is, and I also participate in your weekly classes, and there you also said that we need to bring the teachings of the Torah to the people. And during that program, during your class, you said that there's got to be a curriculum that we need to come up with in order to be able to do this. So this is exactly my question. I mean, Torah is very hard to understand. It has a lot of nuances and it's personal for every single person who studies it. So what is the curriculum to teach Torah? How do we make it accessible to the general public, to not just to the Jewish population, but to all people?
Well, for a very, very long time, the method was from the detail to the punchline. You start off with the 10 Commandments. What do the 10 Commandments tell you? 10 very important principles of behavior, of decent behavior. Be nice to your parents, don't kill anybody, don't be jealous. All right. I don't get the bigger picture. But if I study these details, and if I look deeper, and if I analyze them, and eventually I will come to some awesome realization that tells me what life is all about. Some people will argue the 10 Commandments, that's it. That's all you need to know. All you need to know for what? That's all you need to know for a peaceful society. And that's true. If everybody's nice to their parents, if everyone believes in one God, if everyone doesn't murder, doesn't steal, doesn't commit adultery, doesn't bear false witness, and is not jealous of what other people have, yes, you're going to have a very nice neighborhood. You'll have a very nice society. And if that's happening everywhere in the world, you'll have a very nice world. Nice. That doesn't really cut it. Nice. That's as good as it gets. Nobody got hurt. Can you imagine headlines in a Chicago paper?
We would kind of take it these days. It would be an improvement.
Imagine the headline. No one was killed all day long. News. No one was killed the entire month. 10 years without a murder. Is that exciting? No, it can't be that that's as good as it gets. So, 10 Commandments, absolutely essential for a peaceful existence. But why? Why exist? What for? What are we doing here? Getting along. That's it? That's pathetic. And that would frustrate the human spirit, because we're much more purposeful, much more powerful than that. Getting along means we're retired. That's not what we're here for. I think that's what part of what's frustrating young people today. What do you tell children? Really, this is a dangerous thing. You tell children, be nice, be quiet, behave yourself, be a good boy, a good girl. It frustrates people. Sit quietly and don't bother anybody. You'll be a good girl. That's good. That's a well-trained pet. Isn't it? You're raising children like they're dogs. Toilet trained and don't bark. That's it. That's what you're telling your children. Oh yeah, get good grades. Go to school. But go to school and sit quietly and don't bother anybody. The school does the same thing. If you sit quietly and you never disturb, you're a good student. No, you're not. You're a total failure as a human being. And so those who have a little spirit are going to act out. No, I'm not going to be a good little boy. I'm here for a much more important reason than that, and you're not telling me. So, life is where all the excitement happens, not crime, not hate. Life, that's the excitement. Why aren't we celebrating life? So, it used to be that we would begin with the details, and if you studied long enough, hard enough, and deep enough, you would come to the realization of what life is all about and why God created the world and what's going to happen, where are we going, how are we doing, It took a long time. And very few made it to the punchline. Today, with Hasidus, we start the other way. I'll give you the punchline, and you figure out how to get there. Much better. Much, much better. We know where we're going. We know what we're after. We're excited about the project. Now we just have to fill in the details. It used to be you start with details and try to figure out where it's all leading.
Rabbi Fridman, give us the punchline, please.
The punchline is, God needs you more than you need him. So stop thinking about yourself and start serving him. How do you serve him? Join him in his project. What is his project? To make the lowest, most physical world into the most godly world. That's it. Are you in? Are you with us or are you against us? Are you part of the solution or part of the problem? But now we know what the solution is. Now we appreciate how big the problem is. Before that, we really didn't know. And you had people say, I didn't bother anybody. I don't bother anybody. I'm good. No, that's not good. That's meaningless. So don't be a nice guy.
Rabbi Fridman, who are the coaches in this curriculum besides you? You're the best one by far, but who else can we rely on to get us to understand the punchline and figure out the way to get to the end result?
There are thousands and thousands of Chabad rabbis, Chabad houses, Chabad projects. They'll all tell you the same thing. Come, let's make the world better. Whose world? Not mine. God's world. But don't be passive. Don't be a private citizen. Don't mind your own business. Don't live and let live. That's a form of death. We're made of better stuff than that. We have much more energy than that. We are much more purposeful than that. And if I'm not challenged to fulfill my purpose, I'm going to get restless, I'm going to get angry, I'm going to get resentful, I'm going to blame somebody, and then you have crime. So what's the solution to crime? Not more policemen. I'm not saying defund the police. Even though I'm from Minnesota. I'm not saying defund the police. I'm saying the police are not the solution. You're the solution. Get children to think about why they're alive and what is the purpose of life and how do you serve. Challenge them. Don't tell them to sit quietly. Tell them God needs them. They'll light up. They'll come alive. Because that's human. Sit quietly is not human.
Rabbi Fridman, amazing. So inspirational every single time. It's just, you give us so much light and so radiates so much positivity that we just take it in, and it really keeps definitely us going. Rabbi Fridman,
Doesn't it feel completely natural? What am I saying? Anything new? Anything radical? I'm saying you're a human being, not a pet. Wow. Profound. Not profound.
Yeah, it is. Nowadays, actually, it is profound because we took such a turn as a humanity, and now we're kind of going back on the good path, on the right path, as the whole world, and we can see it. It's happening, and it's really amazing. It's very exciting. Sometimes we do lose sight of things and get a little depressed for good reasons, but try not to.
But that's where the optimism comes from. The optimism is eventually human beings will be human. There's no way of crushing it forever. You can fool some of the people some of the time, but the truth will come out because it's true about us, not truth in a book. That's part of the problem with religion. All truth is in a book, but nothing in life is true. This world is all bad. You got to get out of here and go to heaven. The truth is in us. We may not notice it, so we have a book that tells us who we really are. But we're going to be who we really are, one way or the other. You can't dehumanize a human. You can't. You can discourage. You can't dehumanize. Humans will not rest unless you let them be human. Help them be human. So there's no question that humans will be human. But how long does that have to take?
Hopefully we will not run out of patience. Yes, sounds great, Rabbi Fridman. Thank you so much. I mean, this is another enlightening part of the week with you, and it's priceless. Thank you so much. I know we're not going to meet next Tuesday because it is Purim, and we're going to be busy doing other things. So we wish you a very happy holiday to you and your family, and may you always continue to bring light to us and so many people in the world, and so much wisdom as well. Thank you so much.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Ну, а всем, кто нас слушал, большое вам всем спасибо, что вас интересует что-то важнее, чем простые обыденные вещи. Так что, пожалуйста, держитесь и заряжайтесь и заряжайте других. Вот с этими словами я, Аня Пекерман, передача Thank God It's Tuesday с раввином Манисом Фридманом прощается со всеми и встретимся через 2 недели. Так что пожелаем всем счастливого, веселого, радостного Пурима.
Каждый вторник в 12:10 один из самых известных раввинов нашего времени, Манис Фридман, в прямом эфире отвечает на вопросы наших слушателей. Вы услышите мнение самой мудрой книги человечества – Библии, о самых сложных проблемах, стоящих перед современным миром. Присылайте ваши вопросы заранее на наш имейл info@rusa.fm или во время передачи по СМС.